In days to come, the mountains of the Lord's house shall be established as the highest of the mountains, and shall be raised above the hills. All the nations shall stream to it. Many peoples shall come and say, Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of God of Jacob, that he may teach us his ways, and that we may walk his paths. For out of our Zion shall go forth instruction, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. He shall judge between the nations, and shall arbitrate for many peoples. They shall beat their swords into the plowshares, and their spears into the prone hooks. Nation shall lift up the sword against nation. Either shall they learn war anymore. O holy people of God, come.
Let us walk in the light of the Lord.
But about that day and hour, no one knows, neither the angels of heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. For as the days of Noah were, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. For as in those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day Noah entered the ark, and they knew nothing until the flood came and swept them away. So too, taken one will be left. Two women will be grinding metal together. One will be coming through the Son of Man. Then two will be in the field. One will be taken and one will be left. Two women will be grinding. One will be taken and one will be left. Keep awake and therefore, for you will not know what day your Lord is coming. But understand this: if the owner of the house had known that what is part of the night the thief was coming, he would have stayed awake and would have let his house be broken into. Therefore you also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an unexpected hour. Hear the good news.
Let us walk in the light of the Lord.
I thought Jack did a pretty good job. What do you think? There we go. Make sure you tell them that after church, okay? We want to encourage the kids to participate. So learning the darndest things doing sermon prep, or at least I do. Yeah. I don't know, maybe I just want to learn fully before the sermon, or maybe I just get distracted and go down some rabbit holes here, but you do learn the darndest things. For example, the ancient city of David, that's Jerusalem as he found it, was built on a hill. Not a very big one, but a hill. And this hill, depending on the estimates you take, was between 500 and 750 feet long. Okay? That's roughly from the end of our parking lot down to the driveway at the Frommels. And it was about 100, 150 feet wide. In other words, that holy city of David would have fit comfortably in a large Walmart. Later, it expanded to the west and to the north, but well under half a mile in either direction. So imagine it going all the way out to the north up to about County HH. That's all the bigger it got. David claimed in the census that he had 1.5 million Israelites ready to take up arms for his cause, which is nonsense. Complete nonsense. The biggest cities in the world in those days were about 60,000 people. So this is what you call exaggeration. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Well, neat, right? But why should you care? Pastor, why are you gassing on about this stuff? Well, here's why. The name of that original city, that tiny little city that David inhabited and conquered, was Zion. And then, when it expanded, that name migrated to the new part of the city, and then up the hill where they built the temple, and then finally it became the name for the entire people of Israel. So it kind of moves around and it expands. So when Isaiah says, in the days to come, the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established as the highest of mountains, and shall be raised above the hills, and all the nations shall stream to it. He's talking about that rinky-dink little hill, right, that David lived on. This is, again, utterly and completely ridiculous. Right? This is just nonsense. Likewise, Isaiah says, many people shall come and say, come, let us go to the mountains of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, that they may teach us his ways, and that we may walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall come instruction. Out of Zion shall come instruction, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And when you hear this, when you hear pretty much any of these prophecies from the Old Testament, you should roll your eyes and say, sure, Isaiah, sure it will. Okay? He's saying that this hill is going to be raised as the highest of mountains in the world. And all the people from all around the world are going to come streaming in to this tiny little town. Now, the point here isn't to disrespect our faith. Isaiah is making this, it's just to say that Isaiah is making this outrageous, over the top, completely ridiculous argument, right? He's having this vision that is way out there. Jerusalem is nowheresville. I mean, this is like saying our own little pipe over here is going to become the new Vatican. And all the people are going to come to learn about God at the Pipe Mini Mart. Seems a little silly, doesn't it? Should I pick on somewhere else?
You got good chicken.
They got good chicken? Should I pick on Johnsburg, maybe? I don't know. What's the popular place to make fun of around here? Mount Calvary? What's that? Berrytown. Okay. Berrytown? Okay. Anyway, Isaiah wrote this prophecy just after Jerusalem very narrowly survived a siege by the Assyrian army. I mean, they got away by the skin of their teeth on this one. And yet, here's Isaiah saying that all this wisdom is going to come out of Jerusalem, and all this wisdom that Jerusalem is going to be handing out will come about because of its military success. We're going to teach those Assyrians and those Egyptians what's what, and they're going to listen to us. God, he says, shall judge between the nations and shall arbitrate for many peoples. They shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. In other words, we're going to be so successful, so great, that other nations are going to pray to our God to settle their disputes. And they won't need their weapons anymore. So, since they don't need them, they're going to turn them into farm tools. You might as well get some use out of them, right? This is, once again, utterly and completely bonkers. This is just nuts. David may have been a great military leader, but he was the leader of a tiny nation and its tiny army. And even in Isaiah's age, it's about 300 years after David, even in Isaiah's age, they were lucky to escape the Assyrians. And eventually, a little while later, they fall to the Babylonians, and that's the end of Israel. The only thing sillier than this, than the house of David being a great conquering military force, would be the house of David being a world-dominating non-military force. Wait. Did you notice that all of Isaiah's prophecies came true? People from every nation do go to Jerusalem to pray for peace. And if the Temple Mount isn't the highest, geographically the highest mountain in the world, spiritually it sure is, right? The Temple Mount, if you didn't know, is sacred to Judaism, to Islam, and to Christianity. All three of those major world religions. That's about 75% or better of the world population claim that rinky-dink little hill as the most sacred place they can think of. Isaiah was right. And it's all because of Jesus, the only king more ridiculous than David. Isaiah's promises aren't over the top because he's an idiot, you understand. It's only a way of announcing God's extravagant, lavish, over-the-top blessings. And we are given the same blessing, the same promise in Jesus. That small, powerless, weak leader, that nowhere king that we claim as Jesus, is going to overcome all evil and all war to save our world. And we hear in the season of Advent the promise that our Savior is still coming into the world. And he's going to come unexpectedly, when and where we least anticipate it. So be alert, be awake, watch for the signs of peace. And you too, go out there and be candles. Keep awake, listen for God's instructions, find ways to be kind to one another, and to share God's peace with one another and with the world around you. And whatever you do, don't bother studying war. Don't bother studying ways that you can dominate other people by violence. You're not going to need it. Someday, and someday soon, we're going to beat those swords into plowshares, and spears into pruning hooks. God's peace will reign upon earth. Isaiah said it, and I believe it. Amen. All right. We got sort of an unfamiliar hymn here, but it's a pretty easy one.